Welcome to The Behavior Code, the show where we dig into the psychology behind why we do the things we do. I'm your host, Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. It's great to be with you all. Today, we're tackling a concept that is, well, it's literally in the title of the episode. We're talking about raring.
Yeah, but not in the way you might think. We're not talking about rare gemstones or vintage cars. We're talking about rare people, rare habits, rare mindsets, the kinds of traits and opportunities that are, statistically very, very uncommon.
It's a fascinating thought experiment, isn't it? Take a moment and just think about the people you know. How many of them would you say are truly, deeply thriving? I mean, across the board. Financially secure, physically healthy, mentally sharp, with rich, fulfilling relationships.
Oof, that's a tough question because most people are doing okay. They might be doing great in their career, but their health isn't great. Or they have amazing friendships, but they're constantly stressed about money. To have it all firing on all cylinders, that's rare.
That is the definition of rare. And the paradox is that the information on how to achieve these things is more abundant than ever. We're drowning in self-help books, podcasts, seminars. And that's really the central question of our episode today. Why is that combination so rare? It's not for a lack of desire. I think everybody, if you ask them, wants to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, as the old saying goes. But there's a huge gap between that desire and a daily reality for most people. This isn't about shaming anyone, but about getting curious. What are the invisible scripts and default settings that keep people stuck in mediocrity? It's exceptionally rare, and it's not a judgment, it's just a statistical reality. Most people are treading water. They're dealing with the day-to-day, caught in a cycle of reaction. The idea of truly designing your life, of moving with intention towards a clear set of goals, that feels like a luxury they don't have time for.
Right, the map is everywhere. Exactly. It's like the difference between being the chess player and being one of the chess pieces. Most people are being moved around the board by their job, their obligations, their impulses. They're reacting to the game. But the rare person is the one who occasionally steps back, looks at the whole board and says, okay, what's my next move? What's my long-term strategy here?
And yet, so few people reach the destination. So, over the next 30 minutes, we're going to explore why. Why are the behaviors and mindsets that lead to exceptional results so uncommon? And more importantly, how can we start to cultivate a little bit of that rarity in our own lives?
I love that. It's about becoming an outlier in the best possible way. So where do we start, Gabe? What's the foundational idea here?
It starts with what we could call the rarity principle. And at its core, it's about a fundamental flaw in how we perceive the world. We're evolutionarily wired to notice what is common.
Oh, okay, like a survival thing?
Exactly. For millennia, survival depended on pattern recognition. If the majority of your tribe ate a certain berry and was fine, it was safe. If they all ran from a rustling in the bushes, you ran too. Conforming to the common behavior, that was a life-saving heuristic.
Right, safety in numbers. Makes total sense.
But in the modern world, that same instinct works against us when it comes to growth and success. Our brains see common behaviors, scrolling on social media for hours, choosing comfort over challenge, complaining about problems instead of solving them, and registers them as normal and therefore safe or acceptable.
And so we underestimate the power of the uncommon behaviors. The person who proactively seeks out critical feedback, or the person who spends their Sunday planning their week instead of just letting it happen. Those actions feel weird, almost alien.
They are statistically deviant, and so our minds tend to dismiss them. We see someone with incredible discipline and we think, oh, they must just be wired differently, or that's just not for me. We don't appreciate that their rare results are a direct consequence of their rare actions. Actions that are, for the most part, available to all of us.
So the first step is just recognizing that our brains are biased towards the average. To get uncommon results, you have to be willing to adopt uncommon behaviors, even if they feel strange at first.
That is the price of admission. You must be willing to deviate from the norm. And that brings us to our next point. What are some of these rare traits that actually predict success?
So it's almost like our brains have a built in conformity bias. We want to blend in with the herd. And in the modern world, the herd is, for the most part, average. The herd is living paycheck to paycheck, is slightly unhealthy, and is distracted. So if we just follow our instincts, we drift towards the mean. It's the path of least resistance. And this bias isn't just an internal thing, right? It plays out socially. There's a real pressure to conform to the average. If everyone in your office leaves at 5 p.m. on the dot, the person who stays until 6 to finish a project is seen as the weird one. Yeah, let's get into the specifics. What are we talking about here?
Or think about health and fitness. If you're at a party and you're the only one not drinking alcohol or eating the cake, people comment on it. They might even playfully pressure you. Oh, come on, live a little. What they're really saying is, your discipline is making me aware of my own lack of it, and that makes me uncomfortable. Deviating from the norm often highlights the norm's deficiencies. Well, in personality psychology, one of the big 5 traits is conscientiousness. It's basically a measure of your diligence, your organization, and your self-discipline. Now, everyone has some level of it, but exceptionally high conscientiousness is rare.
Oh, totally. The person who actually finishes every project they start on time and to a high standard. That's not common.
It's not, and it's one of the single best predictors of career success, longevity, and even marital stability. But here's another one, more nuanced one: intellectual humility.
Ooh, okay. What does that mean exactly?
It's the ability to recognize that your beliefs and opinions might be wrong. It's the more attached to finding the truth than to being right. In a world that is so polarized, where everyone is shouting their own certainties, genuine intellectual humility is exceedingly rare.
Wow, yeah, it's so much easier to just double down on what you already think. The ability to say, you know what, you've made a good point. I need to rethink my position. That takes serious strength.
It does. But the people who possess it are learners. They adapt, they grow. They see opportunities others miss because they aren't blinded by their own dogma. And a third one I'd add is a high tolerance for ambiguity.
The ability to be okay with not knowing. I think that's a huge one in today's world. Things are changing so fast. Technology, the job market, you name it. If you're waiting for a perfectly clear, risk-free path to appear, you're going to be waiting forever. The most successful people are the ones who can take a step into the fog, trusting they can figure it out as they go.
Yes, most people crave certainty. They want a clear path from A to B. But all great opportunities, starting a business, making a scientific breakthrough, creating a work of art, involve a period of deep uncertainty and risk. Being able to function and even thrive in that gray area is a rare and powerful trait.
So we have high conscientiousness, intellectual humility, and a tolerance for ambiguity. Those aren't things you're just born with, right? They sound like muscles you can build.
Absolutely. And that leads us perfectly into the idea of rare mindset shifts. Because these traits don't exist in a vacuum, they are supported by a certain way of thinking.
Okay, so let's talk about the mindset shifts that can totally change your life, your income, your relationships, everything. What's the biggest one?
Without a doubt, it's the shift from what you might call an external locus of control to an internal locus of control.
In English, please.
It's the difference between believing your life is shaped by outside forces, your boss, the economy, your upbringing, luck, and believing that you are the primary shaper of your own life. It's the shift from being a victim to being an agent.
That sounds simple, but it's huge because the common mindset is to blame. I can't get ahead because my boss doesn't like me. I can't get in shape because I just don't have the time.
That is the default human narrative. It absolves us of responsibility. The rare mindset is to say, okay, my boss is difficult. What is within my control? How can I manage this relationship better? What skills can I build to create other opportunities? It's a relentless focus on what you can influence.
It's taking radical ownership.
That's the perfect phrase for it. Another huge one is shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. The common view is that life is a zero-sum game. If someone else gets a promotion, that's one less for me. If someone is successful, they must have taken that from someone else.
Which leads to jealousy, competition, and a real fear of other success.
Precisely. The rare mindset is to believe that value can be created, that someone else's success doesn't diminish your own chances, but can actually create new opportunities. This allows you to collaborate, to celebrate others, to learn from them. It opens up your entire world.
I feel like that one is especially important for relationships. A scarcity mindset in a relationship is thinking, if my partner has a great night out with their friends, that's time they're not spending with me. An abundance mindset is, I'm so glad my partner's happy and fulfilled because that brings more positive energy back to our relationship.
A perfect example. These mindset shifts are the software that runs on the hardware of your brain. If you're running the common software, victimhood, scarcity, you'll get common results. If you install the rare software, ownership, abundance, your potential becomes, well, limitless. Absolutely. And it applies to your career too. A scarcity mindset makes you hoard information and view your colleagues as threats. An abundance mindset allows you to mentor people, share credit, and build a network of allies. You realize that by helping the entire team succeed, you create more opportunities for everyone, including yourself. You're not fighting for a bigger slice of the pie, you're working to make the whole pie bigger.
But, and this is a big but, having the right mindset isn't enough, right? You have to actually do things, which brings us to something that sounds so simple, but maybe the rarest thing of all, consistency.
Yes, the great filter. Consistency is the ultimate separator.
But why though? Why is it so rare? Everyone knows you're supposed to be consistent, go to the gym consistently, save money consistently, work on your skills consistently. We all know this. Why is it so hard to do?
Several reasons. First, our brains are wired for novelty and immediate gratification. Consistency is, well, it's boring. It's doing the same thing over and over, especially when the results aren't immediate. The dopamine hit comes from starting something new, not from the 100th time you do the same workout.
That's so true. The excitement is in buying the gym membership and the new workout clothes. The 57th trip to the gym on a rainy Tuesday, not so much.
Second, we wildly underestimate the power of compounding. We do something for a week or two, we don't see a huge change, and we get discouraged. We think, this isn't working. We can't intuitively grasp that small, consistent efforts multiply exponentially over time.
It's like expecting a seed to become a tree overnight.
Exactly. And the third reason, and this is crucial, is that people rely on motivation instead of discipline. Motivation is an emotion. It's fleeting. It comes and goes. The common person only works when they feel motivated, and our modern culture amplifies this 1,000 times over. We are a culture of the life hack, the 30-day shred, the get-rich-quick scheme. We're marketed the result without the process. We see the highlight reel on social media, not the decade of silent, boring, consistent effort that went into it. This creates a massive expectation gap, and when reality doesn't match the marketing, we give up.
Right. Waiting to feel inspired.
The rare person cultivates discipline. Discipline is a system. It's doing what you said you would do long after the mood you said it in has left. It's detaching your actions from your feelings. And that is a superpower.
So to be consistent, you have to embrace the boredom, trust the process of compounding, and build discipline instead of waiting for motivation.
If you can do that, you will outperform 99% of people. It's that simple and that difficult.
Okay, this feels connected to the next topic, which is self-awareness, because you probably need a lot of self-awareness to know why you're not being consistent, right? To see that you're just waiting for motivation.
They are deeply intertwined, but we need to make a distinction here. There is a common form of self-awareness, and then there is a rare, genuine self-awareness.
Okay, what's the difference?
Common self-awareness is simply labeling your behavior. Oh, I'm such a procrastinator. I have a short temper. I'm bad with money. People say these things all the time. It's an observation, often used as an excuse.
Yeah, it becomes part of their identity. That's just who I am.
Precisely. Rare, genuine self awareness goes a level deeper. It's not just the what, but the why. It's asking, why do I procrastinate? Am I afraid of failure? Am I a perfectionist? Does the task feel overwhelming? It's understanding the underlying emotions, fears, and beliefs that drive the behavior.
That is a much harder and more uncomfortable process.
It requires brutal honesty with oneself. It means facing the parts of your ego you'd rather ignore. But it is the only path to real change. You can't fix a problem you don't understand. Labeling yourself a procrastinator is useless. Understanding that you procrastinate because you have a deep-seated fear of not being good enough, well, that's something you can actually work with.
It's the difference between looking in a mirror and getting an MRI. One shows you the surface, the other shows you what's happening underneath.
What a brilliant analogy. And most people spend their whole lives just looking in the mirror. Genuine self-awareness is having the courage to get the MRI. And that's why practices like meditation, journaling, or even therapy are so valuable. They are tools for getting that MRI. It's also about actively seeking feedback from people you trust. Asking a question like, from your perspective, what's one thing I do that might be limiting my own success? That's a terrifying question to ask, but the answer can give you a glimpse into your own blind spots that you would never see otherwise. That's rare.
And when you have that level of understanding, you start to see how these things play out in the lives of really influential, successful people, which leads to our next point. What are the rare habits of these people? What did they do differently?
One of the most powerful and rare habits is that they prioritize deep work. In a world of constant distraction, notifications, emails, social media, the ability to focus intensely on a single high-value task for an extended period is becoming almost a lost art.
Oh, for sure. The common habit is multitasking, which is really just task switching and doing a mediocre job at 10 things instead of a great job at one thing.
Right. Influential people are ruthless about protecting their time and attention for deep work. They will block out their calendars, turn off their phones, and create rituals to get into a state of flow. They understand that value is created in depth, not in shallow, frantic activity.
What's another one?
Another key habit is that they actively seek out problems. The common tendency is to avoid problems, to hope they go away, to stick your head in the sand. They are voracious learners who read outside of their own domain. It's common for a business person to read business books. It's rare for that same person to read books on biology or history or physics. But influential people know that true innovation often comes from connecting ideas from seemingly unrelated fields. They collect mental models from all disciplines, which gives them a unique lens through which to see the world and solve problems.
Totally. Problem avoidance is my middle name sometimes.
It's most people's. The rare habit is to run towards the fire, to ask, what is the biggest problem in my department? What is the biggest obstacle facing our customers? What is the weakest link in my own skill set? Because they know that every problem contains an opportunity. Solving big problems is how you create immense value.
And finally, a third habit?
They build systems instead of just relying on goals. A goal is a target. I want to lose 20 pounds. A system is the process. I will go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. I will not have junk food in the house.
So they focus on the process, not the prize.
Precisely. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are what make progress. Influential people are master architects of their own systems and environments, making their desired behaviors the path of least resistance. They don't rely on willpower alone because they know it's a finite resource.
Okay, this is all fantastic, but it can also feel a little overwhelming. We've talked about rare traits, mindsets, habits. So let's make this super practical. For someone listening right now, how do they actually start to cultivate these things in their daily life?
It starts small. You don't try to change everything at once. You pick one area and you introduce one single uncommon behavior. I call it a keystone habit.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's say you want to cultivate intellectual humility. A simple daily practice would be to end your day by asking yourself, what is one thing I might be wrong about? And just sit with that question for 5 minutes.
Ooh, I like that. It's not confrontational, it's just a private reflection.
Exactly. Or if you want to build consistency, you could start with the 2-minute rule. Pick a habit, like reading, and commit to doing it for just 2 minutes a day. Anyone can read for 2 minutes. The goal isn't to read a book. The goal is to become the type of person who shows up every day. You build the identity first.
Those are great, really practical tips. So, what about the big one? How do we start developing that deep self-awareness? That seems like the hardest one to tackle.
And for building an abundance mindset, try this. At the end of each day, write down one person you're grateful for and why. And then, and this is the important part, send that person a message telling them. This trains your brain to look for the good in others and to celebrate their success, which is the cornerstone of abundance. For that, I'd recommend a simple journaling practice. Anytime you feel a strong negative emotion, anger, anxiety, envy, take out a piece of paper and write down the answers to 3 questions. 1. What is the story I'm telling myself right now? 2. What am I afraid of? And 3. What is within my control?
That's powerful. It takes you out of the emotion and into an observer role. It forces you to go beyond just labeling the feeling.
It's about creating a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lies your freedom and your growth. The key is to make these practices so small and simple that you can't say no. Start with one, be consistent, and let the positive effects ripple out from there.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. This has been amazing, Gabe. Let's try to summarize the big ideas for everyone.
Absolutely. So the core idea, the rarity principle, is that exceptional results come from uncommon behaviors. Our brains are biased to follow the common path, so to be successful, you must consciously choose to be different.
Right. And we identified some of those rare traits like high conscientiousness and intellectual humility, and the rare mindsets like taking radical ownership and adopting an abundance mentality.
We talked about how consistency is the ultimate filter and how it requires discipline, not motivation, and the importance of genuine self-awareness, understanding the why behind your behaviors, not just the what.
And we finished with those practical, tiny habits anyone can start today to begin cultivating these rare qualities in their own life.
So, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with a couple of reflection questions. First, what is one common behavior you engage in that might be holding you back? And second, what is one small, rare action you can commit to for the next 7 days?
Don't just listen to this and move on. Take 5 minutes after the episode ends and really think about those questions. Write them down. That act of reflection is, in itself, a rare habit.
Well said, Maria. That's all the time we have for today. If you found this conversation valuable, we'd be incredibly grateful if you'd follow or subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening on. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss our future episodes.
Thanks for tuning in to The Behavior Code. We'll talk to you next time. Upbeat outro music fades in.